do anything you want. I ain't got no problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, Valentine's Day edition. This is a show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about, and I pontificate upon them. What a unique day to bring a bunch of passionate topics to you. Shouts out to the wife for letting me work this evening. I told her, I said, honey, look, we're working Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I told the crew, I told the audience, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So guess what? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And guess what else? If you are a member of the Patreon audience, bro, you already warmed up, just like me. If y'all notice, we are going to be cooking on this MBR. We're going to be moving, flying, having a good time because we're already warmed up. If y'all watched me for years, y'all know it takes me a while. Get up in that groove, get up in that flow state, right? We are already there. We are 100% there because we have already done 30, 35 minutes worth of content over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin, adding a little bit of what I like to call context to this Mike Bobo discussion, right? We just got done watching 30 minutes of a really, really bad Auburn football team. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's a really, really bad football team. Okay, in that 2021 season, Mike Bobo's last year of like fully coaching and calling plays over there alongside the glorious Brian Harsin, the well-dressed Brian Harsin. I'm gonna tell you what, I saw a coordinator that, despite the lack of execution and the inefficiencies of execution on the execution end, I should say, did a really good job attacking what a defense does not do well. In that instance, Georgia's inability, or I shouldn't say inability, weakness in the sense of running what we call nub sets, singular tight ends into the boundary where you got three receivers over here, right? And then kind of running the tight end and the running back into that concept. This is a lot what Florida did, is an extended version of what Florida did. They just did a receiver and went slant wheel, right? This concept of sending two receivers into the short side of the field, I saw Auburn doing that, just like every other team kind of does that, right? But I also saw a coordinator who had kind of morphed an offense and tried to morph an offense into what that offensive like roster and roster management at that point in the kind of morph between Malzahn and Harsin and now, obviously Hugh Freeze. What I saw was a coordinator that had designed an offense around that and had made some very, very unique twist and tweaks on how to accentuate certain aspects of that offense, primarily the fact that their two best ball handlers were two running backs. So guess what they did? They found very unique ways of playing 21 personnel, right? While also being a heavy tight end based offense because they didn't have a bunch of weapons. Long story short, I saw an offense, right, that was developed by a coordinator that had tried to accentuate the best parts of his limited skill sets. You guys know this. Y'all saw what Georgia did to those Auburn rosters. They were really, really bad. It was a bad football team the last opportunity he had to be an offensive coordinator. Those South Carolina rosters, guys, do y'all want me to break down Luke freaking Doty tape? No. Do you even remember who Luke Doty? No offense to Luke Doty. Far better football player than I will ever be. But do you even know who Luke Doty is? Probably not. But that's who Mike Bobo had to walk into a daggum home game against them dogs in 2020. An unwinnable situation, okay, in a lot of aspects. Whereas, like, now, we got a whole lot of weapons, right? And I think, when you're looking at coordinators, it's really, really important, like we started the show with, to add context. So welcome in 2 nights in a row to be here on NBR. Happy to be the offseason. And look, man, your program, your football coach, he 365. That sun gun works year round. So guess what we have to do, or guess what we should do if you're a beat reporter, if you're listening. I know we got a lot of young folks listening that always are like, hey, man, I would love to do what you do. I don't know. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you want to get up off the couch when you're eating lunch with your wife today, run in here and flip the cameras on when you were about to go to the gym to cover Mike Bobo stuff and then move your gym. I'm not telling you my job, but anyways, don't even know how we got there. It's crazy. The schedule is wild. We're trying to produce. Oh, I know what I was saying. 365. It's off season. Be with us here year round, baby. Be here with us, grow the content with us, grow the consistency with us. Would love you guys to continue to be a part of the show. Like we're going to try to add you guys in a little bit later with the questions that we got on Twitter. It's going to be a great offseason. I'm excited for it, and I'm done hyping it up. We're just going to be about it the rest of the time. Got a loaded show for you guys tonight. Hit that thumbs up button before you get going anywhere, and appreciate you for being here. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. We're going to talk about, obviously, Monken heading out and what that means for this program. Got some bullet points on that. And then we'll talk about Bobo being in, what he adds, maybe, from a recruiting standpoint, or what the impact, rather, might be on the recruiting standpoint. Talk about that as well. And we'll kind of toss up the question, or put aside the question of, should Kirby have opened it up? I know there are some Bobo slanderers out there. I don't know if they'll be in our mentions. I don't know. But nonetheless, I know there's been some questions as to, hey, man, that was really, really quick, right? We'll address it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about as to why there was no need to open this thing up, in my opinion. And we'll close the show with the questions, the 5 questions that we got from you guys on Twitter. And if we have if we have some time, we'll take super sub questions as well. Speaking of super subs, I want to throw a shout out to Robert and his DGD podcast. I think he just had Rylan and Tate on his pod. So, yeah, go check that one out. I'm sure they had some great stories and had a good time. He says, thanks, Coach Monken. Let's see Bobo break 41.7 now. That is the mark. Obviously, I believe that Todd Monken set this past year at the University of Georgia in the highest since, obviously, Bobo's time in the mid-2010s era of Georgia football. So appreciate the subs there. That means we have free 5 subs. So if you want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, is probably the place to catch me, because I don't care if that thing gets hacked. I don't be answering Twitter DMs no more, because I feel like I'm rolling the dice every once in a while nowadays when people be shooting me DMs on Twitter. Next thing you know, I'm going to be locked out my stuff. And then I've already said, I've been on the record, we'll just go coach high school football. If they lock me out of Twitter, we'll just go coach high school football. We'll be all right, because we'll be damn good at it. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. I love my Twitter. Please don't take my Twitter. Please don't do it. Appreciate you, Robert. Appreciate all you guys for being in here tonight. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Monk Man, right? I don't know why I called him the Monk Man. I've never done that. A couple weeks ago here on the channel, I'm surprised it didn't get as many views as it did, or I'm surprised it didn't get more views than it did, I should say, because I thought it was great content. We went over the 3-year span of Monken and brought you kind of like, hey, this is how they morphed. This is how they've grown, right? This is what they have done. And through that process, I think I learned more than anything what it means kind of to be a great coordinator, right? What it means to make sure you're, like we were talking about earlier, make sure you're accentuating everything that it is in particular talents that you have available to the roster. I also think it's a part of Monken's genius was his ability to not only like find out what opponents did bad, but attacking it. I think we've talked about that from the opening. The TCU game was a prime example. We talked about on Patreon how bad and how funky the numbers were into the boundary. When they had the ball was on the right hash, when the ball was on the left hash, and you were, 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers to the field, and you still had some options over here into the boundary, their numbers got super wonky. They were overloaded, right? Similar to what Andy Reid was doing in the Super Bowl, tying it back to full football here, that's freshest in your mind. Andy Reid had 4 or 5 things in his bag, right, that he knew they did this, right? They did this on film. If we do this, we're good. We're golden. This is a winner. We're going to hit every single time we do this. But you don't just come out as a coordinator and do that over and over again, right? It's one thing to be able to find it. It's another thing to be able to design something to attack it. It's a whole other thing to be able to get your players to buy in on that, right? We just talked about Tate and Ryland's podcast. I think the one of the best interactions, one of my favorite interactions that we had in that pod was me talking about this TCU stuff, me talking about how I noticed what was going on and how fun it is to see that, like, hey, this is what they're bad at, and go watch out and see a Division I coach, a Power 5 coach actually do that. And what Tate said was, that's what Monken's great at. Monken is great at explaining to the entire football team, hey, like, this is what they are bad at. This is why they are bad. And he shows them, like we try to do on this platform every week, or on Patreon rather, every week. Right? He shows them this stuff over and over again, right? But I meant to cut the clip here, but anyways, any like dipshit like me can sit here and say, this is what that team is bad at. Find the holes in a defense, whatever. Find the holes in an offense, whatever, and attack. Or be able to identify, say, this is what they're bad at. It's a whole other thing to be able to design those concepts to win, right? That's what I'm trying to explain. Good Lord. Been a long day for me. Now, Monken's out. See, I think you lose that aspect, not that aspect in total, but that's what his genius was, to be able to take all these things, throw them in your face every single week, identify what a team's bad at, morph an offense into that, and develop it. Tate and Ryland, confirmed it. Basically, we are a new team every week. It's amazing how much their, ability is to install things. So Monken is that. Monken is that great of a teacher. I don't know Bobo. Bobo might be that. Bobo might be able to be a great teacher in that aspect. I'm just telling you what you lost. I'm not saying that Bobo's not 100% of that, not 85% of that, not 90% of that. We're going to have to find out how much they morph, how much they change as the years progress, because that's what it was. Monken had years, by the way, guys. I remember sitting down year one and saying, they're pretty predictable, right? When they send James Cook in swing motion out of 3-by-1, right, and George Pickens by himself on the boundary, they're going to throw back shoulder fades. Like, that's what they're going to do, right? I remember, the James Cook slipping out of the backfield, running up the sideline. Guys, they went to that a whole bunch. Truck sweep, verticals into the boundary with JT Daniels, they went to that a whole bunch. But as the years progressed, right, they really started to move everything. The pocket started to progress. The mesh started to progress. The quarterback manipulation of the launch point started to change over and over and over again. That is just a product, in my opinion, of having multiple years with not only, within a system, but a quarterback as well. Okay, so there are some advantages that Monken had over his 3-year tenure at Georgia that Bobo's not necessarily going to have afforded to himself right off the bat. So I think that's important to note, right? That's very, very important to note that, what you've walked away with, right? What you walked away with at 41.7 points per game was a guy in year 3 with a 6th-year quarterback and a whole bunch of good offensive linemen, right? And a really good running back, right? And a transcendent duo of tight ends, okay? Who's to say that if Monken, I'm not making excuses before the season even starts, but who's to say Monken doesn't come back this year and average 38.6 points per game, right? So the bar doesn't need to be exactly Monken. The bar needs to be Georgia offensive football, okay? What does that mean? Well, it means primarily starting with the run, building off of play action, being a little bit tight end dependent, right? Because you don't have a ton of weapons, and being, I'm going to say dominant up front and multiple up front now in the run game, which I think, to move the conversation to Bobo, is something that you are getting. I think Monken is far superior in passing concepts when I studied the two, but when it comes to developing run schemes, I don't know if there's very few probably better than Mike Bobo, in my opinion, on what he can do to develop a run game. I think you guys as Georgia fans know this with his career, or with his years with Gurley and the mesh year with Gurley and Chubb. His ability to develop like big time winners, get the surface that he wants, right? When I say surface, we get, a tight end attached. We have a tackle and a guard and a center in one side of the offensive line, one side of the offense, right? And they give us a formation defensively that we like, where we have numbers, where if we pull a guard or if we motion a receiver, if we motion a receiver in and crack a backer, now all of a sudden we've got an absolute gaper, right? We've got a massive bang your head on the goalpost winner. It's been a long time at the University of Georgia, in my opinion. The last time I remember a run game designed run being absolute like a freaking winner, the draw for Stetson this year against Auburn, and then a couple of years back in 2020, the truck sweep to the field against Florida with Zamir White. First play of the game, they take an 85 design winner run game. Guys, y'all remember that era of Georgia football far more than I do. And I know those backs were great running backs, but you've had really, really good running backs since. Dude, there were plays in the Bobo era where running backs were literally banging their head on the goalpost. It was like, damn, that dude just took it for 65. Nobody touched him. How? And then you look back and they're like, oh, shit. All they had to do was make those 2 blocks and boom, to the crib. Well, you know who's really great now at making those 2 blocks consistently? The University of Georgia. So from a run game perspective, I think you got to boost. The other thing I know for a fact, this dude does a great job from Bobo is a play design standpoint. I tweeted about it today. I think he does an incredible job of IDing weaknesses as well. We opened that with the show. Somebody commented today, and I don't want to spoil the questions. We're not going to get to it. Let's talk about the recruiting aspect. Okay. I don't think it's any secret if you've watched this program or been on patreon.com/Brooks Austin that, I mean, Monken had a very unique offensive coordinating recruiting job. Very unique in the sense that he had like one position. You go recruit the quarterback you want. That's all you got to do, coach. Todd Hartley's got his receivers. McClendon's got his, Hartley's got his tight ends. McClendon's got his receivers. McGee's damn sure got his running backs. Stacey Searle's going to handle offensive line. You just have to pick your quarterback of the litter, fly around whenever you need to fly around, go see him throw whenever you need to see him throw, invite him in, shake hands with the 15-year-olds that come in. That kind of sucks. We'll get an assistant for you to run your Twitter. All that. It wasn't hard. The recruiting toll that they gave Monken was not bad. Honestly, I think you got him for 3 years because during COVID, he got to sit in his office and just talk football on Zoom. I think that extended his lifespan in college football because he's not made for this. It's not somebody that likes, I mean, dude, I have 100 photos of Todd Monken. I have one of him smiling. This is not someone who likes to sugarcoat anything. He don't coach like that. He don't talk to people like that. He doesn't do interviews like that. He does not recruit like that. He don't want to recruit like that. So they didn't send him out to be the face of recruiting. And I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do with Bobo, but I know for a fact that Mike Bobo is one of the first football coaches I ever met. You know why? Dudes everywhere. Dudes everywhere. I saw him with Auburn stuff on his chest. I saw him with South Carolina stuff on his chest. And guess what? That son gun was out in January with Georgia stuff on his chest. The moment Buster Faulkner's position became available, guess who was out front, head, and center of the recruiting efforts for the offense? Mike Bobo. They sent him everywhere. That dude wants to do it. That dude, I'm not saying it's a crack on Monk. I'm just telling you again, just like I said it wasn't a crack on Bobo, that Monk is this great offensive developer, designer, installer, right? It's not a crack on Monk. The fact that Bobo is now sudden juice on the trail, instant juice on the trail, particularly right here in the state of Georgia. People in Georgia love Mike Bobo. You know why? Bobo family been around this peach state for a minute. So you definitely get a boost in recruiting, okay? So again, the other thing I want to talk about, I don't think gets discussed in this aspect of Monken now departing. Am I really to sit here and believe that Kirby Smart, this individual that has climbed just to the pinnacle of his profession by what, 48, 49? Am I to believe he is some knuckle-dragging, defensive coordinating, like, dum-dum that can't absorb offense in 3 years from a mind like Monken? Am I to believe that? Am I to believe that Todd Monken can't sit around in meetings for 3 years with Kirby Smart and just kind of put that in him to where whenever they roll over, they just remain whatever it is that they instilled in the offense, that Kirby Smart offensive ideology that he wants to be? Is there not some idea out there or some concept or some myth or some theory that maybe Kirby Smart knew, hey, pay the $2.5 million, Josh Brooks, to bring this NFL guy in here. Let him open my eyes to what real offense is, efficient offense, explosive passing concepts, efficiency, all this good stuff. Let him open my mind, pay him whatever it takes. And in the meanwhile, I'll stash my buddies that will never leave us. I'm not saying that was the plan, but it damn sure looks like the plan. And again, I'm not saying that Kirby Smart's now all of a sudden going to be calling plays. I'm just saying that, first it was Lane Kiffin at Alabama. Then it was Steve Sarkisian. Then it was Bill O'Brien. Now it's the Reese guy. And guess what? I've studied Alabama for 8-9 years now. It looks like Alabama football. They just look like Alabama offense. That's what they are. They might tweak it. They might change every once in a while because that's what football is. We change to what the football team is. But they are who they are. They're not going back to under center heavy ISO. They will remain shotgun heavy. I guarantee it. That's what they are. They will remain RPO, probably RPO heavy, depending on what Ty Simpson can do, all that good stuff. The basis remains. He learned football. He learned offensive football. He learned modern offensive football from the guys that he hired. He absorbed it. The football teams didn't change year in and year out drastically. They didn't suddenly go from a 12 personnel team that's heavy on the run game to being a 10 personnel team air raid that throws it 55 times a game. Nobody does that. No successful program does that. That's not what's going to happen here. You're not suddenly going to run fullback, guys. I had some people in my mentions today asking about that. That's not happening. There's not that much turnover. You're going to run the same stuff. It's going to sound the same way. It's going to look a little bit different, right? It's no different than when your local dive bar changes, chefs and the food just tastes maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse, but your butt's still going back because that sucker putting up 41 points a game. That's all I'm saying. Let's talk about recruiting. I don't know how we got in. We teased recruiting earlier. Let's talk about recruiting here. I said it this morning on our first show today that this is not a loss. If you listen to we had about 17 minutes this morning. As soon as news broke, we ran a show. Then we came back, we did film, and now we're back again running more show. Solo produced all day long. So yeah, we are fried mentally at this point. But it's been a great day for content, man. Great day for you guys to be here. Again, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, make sure you don't miss it, especially if this is your first time ever being here. And if it is, wow, what a great one to be walking into. I said this morning on our first show that this is not a loss from a recruiting standpoint. I laid that out earlier. Again, did players love Monk? Yes. Did he work on the trail as hard as the other UGA coaches? No, he was not asked to do so. Do I know who I saw, again, all the time on the trail? Mike Bobo. Do you know who has zero aspirations to leave the University of Georgia? Mike Bobo. That dude ain't going nowhere. Okay, so this toe in, toe out stuff that, was happening to you from Monken, from his kind of, am I going to the NFL? Am I staying? Am I like this third year, fourth year kind of in him out? That was going to happen the next year, and he was either going to leave you next year or it's going to happen the next year, right? This am I in, am I out? That stuff ain't happening with Mike Bobo. So he is going to 100% have an opportunity to, perform, right? Which brings us to our next question, right? And he's going to do it the same way, I believe. But like we told you this morning, y'all are going to have to move to an 11 personnel football team anyways. What does that mean? If you missed our show this morning, Darnell Washington leaving the roster, and I don't need another 6'7", 270-pound first-round tight end. I don't. But y'all don't even have a Charlie Warner right now on the roster. Y'all don't have a John Fitzpatrick on the roster. They're not there. Rylan Godey could have ran his the guys that need to run their face into the wall and put their hand on the ground at the end of the line of scrimmage and block defensive ends. They're not there yet. I had a commenter today ask if Pierce Spurlin could do that. I love Pierce Spurlin. Pierce would tell you, I'm not going to toot my horn. I've known Pierce since he was 14 years old. I put Pierce in a three-point stance for the first time. I shit you not. I asked him to get into a stance because I told him this is what you're going to have to do. And he had no idea how to do it. So we coached him up right there on the spot the day I was working him out. He has no idea how to play tight end yet. He's going to find out. It's going to happen. One day he's going to be great at it. Going to be really, really good. He's got great coaching. It ain't today. You know what I'm saying? It ain't August. It ain't September. All right. Lawson has been doing that. In fact, Lawson, we've cracked in the recruiting world for years now. Lawson is one of the greatest 35 career catch tight ends I've ever seen in my life. That dude was the best player on Norcross High School's football team for a good 2.5 years. And they like until his last like 7 games, barely ever got him the football. But no, he's not physically ready to do that either. So you don't have anybody on the roster that can do that. So you're going to have to morph and change into an 11 personnel football team anyways, which means you're probably going to do a little bit more 3x1. You're going to be 2x2. You're going to be spaced out a little bit. We showed you this stuff on Patreon just a little bit ago. If you want to head over there, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. We teased it earlier. Should Kirby have even opened up an interview process? I'm going to say no for this very reason right now. Did y'all see how quick that happened? Y'all have obviously seen that Raiola. I don't mind giving him credit. Blaine Gilbert did an interview, I'm pretty sure, over on Rivals with Dylan Raiola. In that, it was very clear. It's gone viral at this point. It's very, very clear that Raiola knew that this is the succession plan. It's very clear. And he's cool with it. Well, you know why? Matt Stafford, the homie, right? Matt Stafford, obviously, and Bobo are good folks. So there you go. I think you got consistency. You got a guy that's never going to leave unless you ask him to. You got a solid recruiting bump, I would say. I wouldn't even say. I would guarantee you got a recruiting bump. You got a guy that gives you a better chance at Dylan Raiola, or as good of a chance at Dylan Raiola. And you got a guy that's going to give you a better chance at other surrounding guys in this area because he's going to be in that ear a lot more, okay? And in the presence of these football players a lot more, and that's valuable. In fact, that's invaluable on the recruiting trail. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got to look at. Oh, yeah. Should he have even done a formal interview? No. I don't even think he should have opened that thing up at all. I should have definitely typed out my notes. Content creators, okay? I jotted my notes on this little remarkable thing today. This is completely riffed here. Obviously, most of today is. That's why it's been such shit. Took all my notes on this remarkable thing. But it's all good if you jot notes down, right? Like some people do. But I have no Telestrator in here, okay? I have nothing. What I should have done is taken the time to type out my notes, transcribe them. That way, not only did I write them today during noon, during lunch hour, but I had an opportunity to regurgitate them myself while I typed them out. That way, I'm not sitting here trying to do this. I'm looking up, scrolling down. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on over here, and I'm not good tonight. I'm dog water tonight. But I appreciate you guys for being here. Let's let this thing be real easy. All right, real easy. This is a good joke from somebody who clearly brings on guests every time he's on a show. Not to punch down on you, Robert, here. Soloing is a different animal. They will teach you that in school that I didn't go to. Soloing is bro, you walking into the water. The water, homie. You just out there treading, hoping the sharks don't eat you. Questions from the audience. Let's get after it. Again, I tried today. I downloaded photos. I took screenshots on my Mac. I was going to screen share and, have them pop up on the screen like every other friggin' outlet does for you. But you know what? That wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be raw. That wouldn't be out here like, I always do it. Here we go. This one comes from Thomas at DogTags5 on Twitter. Again, put out a question today, said, hey, going to take some questions tonight. The 5 that I like get put up on the show. Drop them in the comments. If you want to get a question in tonight, super sub, and we will hit it up. Thomas says, with the introduction of a new / prior OC, how will this affect the QB room? Felt like we were firm Beck was going to be the guy, but does this change with Bobo at the helm now? Does this grant more opportunity for Brock Vandergriff and Gunner than under Monken? I picked this question in particular because I know for a fact everyone has probably thought about this, brought this up, tried to develop a take around this. And I'm going to say it means a hill of beans. It means very little because, again, the terminology is not changing. They are not, they're going to just add on, if anything. They're going to take with the basis of what they have and they might change the menu just a little, change the side items just a little bit on the menu that's been working, right? This is a rest. Not to go back to the restaurant analogy with the chef. This is a restaurant that just tweaked their menu a little bit. That's all. They're just adding a couple sides. They're not changing the entire, main courses. That's not what this is going to be. So, no, I don't think this is. And some people, if you were really, really dull, you would go back and look at all of his previous stops. And you'd be like, damn, he's running the quarterback a lot. Maybe they need to play Gunnar Stockton, or maybe they need to play Brock Vandagriff. I would say no. They were running the ball a lot with the quarterback because Bo Nix and Luke Doty. Luke Doty built like a linebacker. Luke Doty built like Chaz Chambliss. Luke Doty looked like he farts whey protein. You know what I mean? Like, not Carson Beck. All right, Carson Beck's going to run the offense that they had this year and run it really, really well, I would imagine. So I don't think this resets the quarterback battle. I think they know who they are. I think they know exactly what each quarterback is great at. They know exactly who has gives them the best chance to win, not to be cliche right now, but who gives them the best chance to win in that quarterback room. And right now, it is Carson Beck. No matter Todd Monken today, Mike Bobo tomorrow. Didn't really change anything, in my opinion. We're saving Jonathan's for last. Robert at the Damn Good Dog podcast asked, will we see a change in offensive personnel from a recruiting standpoint? I thought this was a great question because it allows us to talk recruiting philosophy. And anytime you cover the University of Georgia, it's important that you understand recruiting philosophy under Kirby Smart and what it means. He recruits 11 personnel, 12 personnel every single year offensively. He wants 2 tight ends and a full class. That's what it's looked like to me. Even like remember that year he took Eli Wolf in the transfer portal? He took a tight end in that class. I think it was Brock Bowers, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Darnell's year that year. I think it was Darnell's year that year. Nonetheless, he loves a stable of tight ends, always has on the roster. He always wants to take 3, maybe 4. If we have a chance at a great class as a recruiting staff, maybe 5 receivers. His philosophy has always been take a full class. Every year, no matter what, recruit the best player at the best position, which means you take at least 1 tight end, at least 3 receivers, right? If you're an 11 personnel based team, or if you want to be a 12 base personnel roster, which it looks to me like they are. I mean, shit, they're still chasing Deuce Robinson, right? They've got 2 tight ends already in the class. They were chasing after Walker Lyons, it appeared as well. They were prepared to take basically what equates to 4 tight ends in this one class. That, to me, looks like a football coach who probably knew that Monken was eventually going to leave no matter what, and Bobo was his replacement. We already have laid that out tonight. So, no, I don't think this changes anything. They've been recruiting with this idea of Bobo taking over for quite a while. So, no, I don't think it changes anything from an offensive personnel standpoint on the recruiting front. I think we laid out exactly why it changes the recruiting front. Let's see here. That's 3. All right, here we go. This one, I love this one from Matthew. This is our 4th question. Matthew McKinney at Matthew R. McKin2 on Twitter says, how does Bobo turn 1/2 unstoppable drives into 7 unstoppable drives? So I loved this, and I wanted to talk about this on the film study, but I didn't want to get too far into it. We had a segment last year, or was it last year? I think it was, last year, when we were previewing for that Auburn matchup. I had Ditko, the producer, flash when we had a producer back then. Shouts out Ditko, R.I.P. Cold world. Had him flash a logo that said Bobo in his bag, because that month was in his bag. Like 4 or 5 times a game was just like, oh shit! Like was just like 5, 6 plays in a row scoring a drive. And you know what I got to thinking about today? Bro, Monken's in his bag like 6 plays a game. And we out here just, oh my God, Todd Monken. Whoa. And Todd Monken's great. Don't get me wrong. Todd Monken is 1% elite of elite at what he does. But guys, the last 3 years, he's only had to develop like 6 bangers a game. TCU, they scored 53 points off like 6 bangers. That's it. When Bobo was at Auburn, to score the damn football, he had to put 6 of them some bitches in a row. That's what it looks like. Like the vegetables, the meat and potatoes at Georgia will get you 5 yards a clip. These some bitches got 5 stars everywhere. Everywhere. It's so much easier now. My buddy Jamie Goodman, he's like my historian in Georgia football. You know what he told me today? Ask your audience how many top 100 offensive linemen that Mike Bobo had on his roster. I bet it ain't as many as they got now. I bet it ain't as many. You know who's setting records right now at offensive line play? The University of Georgia. You know who wouldn't? Setting records at offensive line play during Mike Bobo's years at Georgia, the University of Georgia. It was not it. Y'all's best offensive lineman, most notable offensive lineman for like 7 years was John Theus. John Theus is a really, really good football player. That was the one. That was it. You got to go back to Stinchcomb Brothers before y'all had a dude. George Foster, 03. Now y'all are just like, oh, shit, Georgia's got another first rounder playing tackle. There he is. Oh, they're going to have another one next year. Marius Williams rolling out. Oh, there's Ernest Green. You know what I mean? Like, y'all got dudes all over the field now. So, like, the one or two unstoppable drives that he had to develop at South Carolina and Auburn, bro, now he's only got to develop like 5 or 6 unstoppable plays. That's it. And I think he's damn sure capable of doing that. That's 4. Here comes 5. Oh, this is a great one. This is a great one. 0 prepared bits here, Jonathan. I want to let you know I did not think about this except for one position, and you already know it. So let's start with it. Got to start. I mean, we're going to start an inverse. I just know I got a first round pick that I already know. Actually, we're going to start right here. Point guard, Xavier Sorey. Give him to me. If you know anything about Xavier Sorey's background, about 6'3", but he playing about 230 right now, maybe 228-ish. And boy, is he a slasher. I'm talking about an absolute run down the court, just jump, jam right on your face. So I'm going to take him as a point guard. Oh, I didn't even read the question. Excuse me. I'm too excited. Jonathan asked me, take Georgia's entire football roster and formulate a starting 5 for a basketball team. Who you got? Dr. J. Will on Twitter, Dr._J. Will on Twitter. You need to follow. Xavier Sorey is my point guard. Now, he knows this one, and I got a little bit of inside intel here. QB1 is nice on the court. Carson Beck, solid 2 guard. 6'4", I mean, an absolute stroker. And guess what? Sneaky bunnies. Like, hey, like it's even me, big round mound rebound guy. I walk on the court, they see this skin tone. Shooter, he can't dribble. Get up on him. Like they're immediately, shooter. Like it doesn't matter. It's profile, whatever you want to call it. We all know if you play hoops, you know. All right. Even me, they see me shoot one. It goes in. They're like, hey, push up on him. He can't dribble. The thing is, though, Carson Beck, sneaky athletic. Like might put it on the deck. 1-2. Gaga. Like might sneak up on you. Has done it in the rec center. So I'm told. Just gonna let you know, Carson Beck kind of like that. All right. And the background checks out AAU basketball. So 2 guard, definitely going Carson Beck. So now we go to the 3 position, right? Which ideally in a football roster, we're probably searching through the X receivers at this point, right? We're trying to find some length, some rangy guys. Don't think it's available there. I can tell you right now, Michael Williams' hands is way too violent to be a hooper. So that stretch 3, that 3-and-D guy, I don't know if that's going to be it there. Oh, I know exactly who it is. My small forward, if you will, is definitely Darius Smith. Darius Smith, 6'6". I think if you check him out, he's got highlight tapes of just absolutely pinning shit on the backboard in his high school basketball highlight tapes. So, yeah, Jonathan, you asked the right one on this. So, yeah, he about 6'6", super long, rangy. Love that for a 3-and-D guy. I don't really care, Darius, if you can shoot. Doesn't really matter. Now, the 4 guard, the power forward position would have been a lock. Stone cold, easiest day. Broderick Jones. He's no longer on the roster. So now we got ourselves a little predicament. Now, I'll be a little biased if I said Percy, if I said Krista Miller. I know he's got a solid post game. I'm not speaking from experience or anything. I know he kind of nice on the block. All right. So wouldn't be opposed to Kristen Miller in the 4 spot. We might have to circle back to this one. I do know for a fact who my 5 is, though, and it's Big Truss. All right, Big Xavier Truss just going to have to stand in the middle. That's it. We will rotate Tate Ratledge out as a +5 stretch big. And when I mean stretch, he's there to put you on a stretcher. Use 2 technicals, you got him, kind of a deal. So that's what he's there. Technical Tate is what we will call him. And he's just, again, run the floor, put people on a stretcher. Xavier Truss, be big. Put your hands up. That's all I need. Back to the stretch 4 conversation. It's tough. It's tough. The tight end room doesn't really provide. Bowers, Napa Valley, he probably grew up playing soccer, not hooping. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of hard tops outdoors, not Laguna Beach type hooping out there. So not really him. Oscar Dell, we talking West Forsyth. That boy had a lacrosse stick in his hands. Oh, Amarius Mims. There we go. He could play a stretch 4. Good athlete. So we'll swing him and Krista Miller there at the 4. Man, we're young, running for a good minute too. Wow. What a good segment. I liked that. That was a lot of juice. That was good stuff. I think we got a good roster. Xavier Sawyer at the point, he's going to be pushing shit too. So he's going to run with a lot of pace. We'll play with a lag too, basically, where, hey, Xavier, push the rock. Carson, you're there to lag, toss off, stroke the 3 when we got it, off the dribble, put it down twice, take it to the rack if we don't. All right. With the 3 with Darius, again, you're just there for defense. We don't care what you do offensively. Through the 4, hey, set some picks. Yes, man, I like this. 5, just stand big, be pounding the boards, Xavier Truss. Wow. We put together a squad. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm not going to extend tonight's broadcast any longer. I've talked so much today, but I'm glad we ended it hot and heavy right there towards the end. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Appreciate you guys for being here. Again, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. right here on the spot. All right. Appreciate you guys for being here. We'll see you next time. And I promise I will transcribe my notes. We will not be so scatterbrained. Otherwise, guys, this is what my brain does all day. Ping, 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 ping. If we don't have bullet points, if we don't have structure, we're trying to establish it in our life, though. Appreciate you guys. Love you. See you next time.